Good morning, Penn High School. I'm PNN reporter Caleb Evans, here with Sergeant Stethem and Private Deakin. They are recruiters for the National Guard and have come to Penn High School to look for students willing to join the military service. Thank you for coming, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, Caleb.
So, first question, what is your duty and responsibilities as a soldier of the National Guard?
Deacon, you want to take this one?
Our duties are to protect our country, foreign and domestic violence altercations. Really, we're just here to make sure everybody's playing their part, staying safe.
Yeah,
Wow.
to add to that, Caleb, in addition to that, we are state and federally funded, and as well as defending the country from enemies, foreign and domestic, it is just as big or even bigger of a mission for us to protect the state and aid in any disasters or any sort of thing of that nature that would happen in Indiana or even countrywide if called upon by the governor of that state or our own state as well.
Wow. So tell me about the National Guard recruitment program. Like, why are you recruiting?
Caleb, we're recruiting because the mission always changes, and so we have to keep, men and women get in and out of the military all the time. So while we lose people for certain reasons, if they moved on, maybe they retired or they've gotten hurt in some way, we have to fill the ranks back up. Right. To keep the mission going, to protect the mission, to protect the country, to protect the state. And so it's always growing military, at least it is right now, and so that's why we are recruiting. So.
Why recruit here at our own Penn High School and any other schools you might go to?
Because you guys are the future of the nation. 17, 18-year-olds, that's how old you have to be to enlist in the military now with 17. So we call upon the juniors and seniors to see if they want to take part in defending the country, serving the people of the United States and the people of Indiana. And so, again, you are the future of the country, and forever it's always been the young people that we've called upon to protect this nation, and we will continue to do that. So,
why the National Guard? Why not like the Navy, the Marines? Why the National Guard?
Easy as said, National Guard, you're not just protecting overseas, you're also homebound. You're taking care of your neighbor next door or the guy down the street that's always delivering your mail. You're looking out for one another like a foreign family, It's not just, okay, hey, how are you doing? It's, hey, we're here, what's up? What can we do to help you? But with the National Guard being said, not only do you get to live your life as a soldier/civilian, you're also getting paid to go to college by any state-funded school. So for example, say for whatever reason you don't get a scholarship or just you want to go to like MIT or something, it's not working out, we'll pay for your college. It's as simple as that.
Also, on that note, why would someone want to join the military? I know there's benefits that go with it, but why join the military if you're not doing it just for the benefits?
sure, Caleb, I think that, as a human being in the human spirit is naturally kind and giving, and the main reason would be to serve your country and to serve the people. So it's a duty. It's about selfless service, loyalty to the people of your state, to your country, fellow man. A lot of people, when they think military or specifically the Army, they think some people have a bad perception about it with violence and things happening overseas. It's not all about that. It's the National Guard's mission is first and foremost to aid in any disasters or any bad situations that would occur in Indiana. So to help out, fellow man, and to be there for, like you said, for your neighbors locally, and just to protect the United States.
So who would you contact? Where would you go to enlist, and when can you enlist to join the Guard?
Sure, Caleb. To enlist in the Guard, in the Indiana National Guard, we have Indiana National Guard recruiting stations all over the state. The one that I particularly recruit out of is in Mishawaka, and that is on Edison Road, and that is Hickory and Edison actually is the intersection. That's where I'm out of, and again, you can you know, they're statewide. So if you happen to live down south or you're planning to move down south, we have them all over the place. So, but yes, particularly in terms of Penn High School, I am the Penn High School recruiter, so I would be your direct liaison or contact to the National Guard.
What benefits, both educational and personal, come with joining the Indiana National Guard?
Sure. Private Deakin, you want to take that one?
Honestly, I would just say that education-wise, you're open enrolled to any state-funded school. They're going to pay for it 100%. Tuition. The really cool part about that is if you were to do something like ROTC in college, the great thing about that is, say you want to go to IUSB, right? Well, IUSB does their ROTC through Notre Dame. So when you graduate from college, you're going to get a couple of papers. You might even get a diploma or a minor from Notre Dame, just because that's kind of how the classwork's set up. The cool thing about that is throughout school, you're getting paid to show up to classes. You're getting a GI Bill, you're getting a stipend. What else, Arn? There's a couple other things.
Yeah, once you enlist as a National Guard soldier, you have access to many different benefits. Now, a lot of the younger crowd, the high school age people, recruits aren't necessarily thinking about health insurance and things of that nature, but those are some of the biggest benefits you get besides the help with tuition. We also fund a big portion of private school as well, private schools, private colleges. Like you said, 100% for state, and there's so much per credit hour for private schools. I think it amounts to somewhere around, I guess it depends on how much your school would cost, but as far as that is concerned, you know, the health benefits, you have access to TRICARE, Select Reserve, which is a very cheap and great insurance, dental as well. You've got great life insurance policies. I mean, there's just so many benefits to it, so many benefits to joining.
Private Deakin, since you are a private and have recently joined the Guard, with your benefits, what would you plan to do in the future?
My future, I would like to continue on with my education to finish college. Beyond college, I'd like to continue my life as a military soldier. I feel that it's benefited me greatly in my career so far. You know, for high school, it never really was my thing. I wasn't a big fan of it, but this really helped me kind of get the extra punch in and finish it. So,
Sergeant Stethem, what are the different career fields that are available to enlistees that join?
So there's hundreds of career choices in the National Guard. You know, starting with juniors and seniors. Juniors have a little more of a limited pool of job options because we don't want your career choice in the National Guard to interfere with your senior year of high school. So, you know, like I said, the pool is a little bit shortened for juniors, just for your own sake. Now in the future, if you enlist into something that you weren't in love with, so to speak, you can change it as soon as you get done out of AIT. I believe you have to be in that for 2 years, and then you can change your MOS. But there's tons from medical to the infantry, which Private Deakin is in. You've got engineering, mechanics, trucking, I mean, everything. There's veterinarians, there's firefighters, occupations in the National Guard, so just countless. And in some way or another, we can find an occupation that can tie into what you would like to do as a civilian, either pre-college or post-college, or with no college. If you just wanted to go into the workforce after high school, that's your choice as well, you know?
Yes.
So.
What is an average day in the National Guard? Like, what do you do from day to day if like you're not overseas?
Sure. Want to take that one?
It really depends on your job. Like Sergeant Stethem said, in the military we call it your MOS, just for future references. It really just depends. So, for example, I'd go to my day job Monday through Friday, and if Sergeant Stethem ever needs a hand, I'm always there. It's just kind of my duties, kind of help out where I can, because I haven't finished all my training quite yet. But at the moment, for me, just like I said, go into my day-to-day job, and then 1 week in a month, we kick it back at the RSD, do a little bit of training, do some classes, just kind of expand our knowledge more towards our jobs.
That to touch on that question, Caleb, too, which was kind of unfair for me to throw him in the fire like that because he hasn't graduated his MOS school, which is his military occupation specialty. But for an average day or a weekend in the National Guard usually depends on what the training schedule dictates. So if it's a field weekend or field day, you would then go out to what we call the field, which would be you'd be outside, depending on your occupation. You know, if you were an administrative occupation, you may not be outside, but if you're a medic like I am with the infantry, which is what he is, we'd be outside and we'd be going over our training. So we'd be, you know, going over the formations that we would move in and out of, practicing taking contact, enemy fire, first aid, what to do if someone gets hurt, and things of that nature. So.
What physical training do you have to go through? Like, basically, what is boot camp like? What is the boot camp experience?
For me, it was a blast. You know, I felt like a kid in a candy store. People were crying. You get a lot of that. People are weak morally. They don't have the strong physicality that some people carry. And I feel that leading back to basic combat training, it's like 9 weeks, aren't?
Yeah, it's approximately 10 weeks.
Approximately 9-10 weeks.
Yeah.
So right off the start, you go to reception. Reception is this side building on the base itself where you pretty much just go in, they get all your paperwork squared away, and just kind of kicking back for a week or two, and then you go to your company. And when you're with your company, that's when you actually start training and stuff. It can get hectic sometimes. You know, their job is to push you past your breaking point and then keep pushing you. But in the end, they build you back up, so you're becoming stronger.
Right.
Yeah, to touch on that further, Caleb, just like what he said, it's, you know, your first few days there are meant to be rough. They start you off rough, you know, so they're making you do a lot of exercises. They're kind of getting in your face in your personal space and see if you have the discipline to hold back from, you know, doing something that would be disrespectful. And so you really have to, it's really good for a lot of young kids too, because, or young men and women, you can't have your cell phone. You don't have your cell phone all the time. You're not constantly checking your social media. You're not worried about, you know, what your boyfriend or girlfriend might be doing back home. You know, you're there to focus on a task, and that's becoming a soldier. And the drill sergeants that are in charge of doing that take their job very seriously. And so while the, you know, training can be grueling sometimes physically and mentally, it's very rewarding as well, because if you stick it out and you give 100%, you're going to get 150% back from the drill sergeants and your fellow soldiers. Really great team building exercise. Basic training is an excellent team building exercise. I mean, the whole entire cycle of basic training is teaching you how to, you know, use teamwork and care about your fellow soldiers and put them first. So it's good character building.
And final question, how should you prepare, like, both physically and also paperwork-wise? How should you be ready in order to join the Guard?
Caleb, to answer that question is pretty simple. If you want to join the National Guard, you don't necessarily have to be in great physical shape. I wasn't when I joined the National Guard. I still wouldn't consider myself to be in great physical shape. So that's kind of something they'll do for you. I know that sounds kind of rough, but you will get in good shape whether you want to or not, and that's just the mindset behind that. They want to have fit soldiers. You know, no one's expecting you to look like you're walking out of a bodybuilding competition, but they want you to be able to do your job, and that could call for having to drag a 200-pound man out of a vehicle that's on fire while, you know, taking contact from an enemy, or, you know, picking people up off the ground that have been buried in rubble from a natural disaster. I mean, all that, you have to have that type of strength, which a lot of that just comes from who you are too. Not all of it's going to be gained in the gym. It's a lot of it's heart. So they teach you how to have heart. Mentally, you have to know going into basic training that it's not personal when they're yelling at you and telling you what to do. They're trying to make you into a soldier or a good man or a good woman, and so that's the way of doing it, you know.
Private Deakin, you have been through some of this training, I believe. What was your experience through all this training?
Like I said, you know, I felt like a kid in a candy store. It was a blast for me. So when you go to training experiences like this, they have student leadership rules where you kind of have to take charge. And I kind of fell into that position because in my company there wasn't really anybody who wanted to do that. And I feel that being in that leadership role, it really pushed me a lot harder than it did all the other guys, because the drill sergeants, they treat you like even more crap than everyone else because they expect a lot more out of you. And I feel that I benefited a lot throughout all of that. And if I had a chance to go again, I definitely would. It was fantastic.
If you had to say one thing about the U.S. Army, what would you say? Like, what word would you use to describe it?
Caleb, I would have to say heart. Heart. I know that may be kind of cliche or corny, but you'll find a lot of men and women who have a lot of heart, have sacrificed a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for not only their families, for themselves, for the country. You know, obviously there's people that have died in combat. They've died in garrison, which means they've died over here in training accidents. You know, we had a recruiter, unfortunately, come down with cancer that was recruiting out of Mishawaka, who was a great recruiter, and you know, one of the humblest guys I've ever met, and it's all about heart to me, Caleb. So.
I agree.
Well, thank you, Sergeant Stethem and Private Deakin, for coming today to do this interview about your recruitment program.
Thanks for having us, Caleb. We appreciate it.
Thank you.